The world as we know it is dictated by a series of natural clocks. The Earth rotates around the Sun on an axis, creating seasons, and the Earth itself rotates, creating days. And nature lives in harmony with these cycles and these patterns. Now, everyone is comfortable with the pace of nature. Most crops are harvested yearly, trees can take decades to grow, and most people mow their lawns every few weeks. But what if this all changed? What if nature suddenly sped up? Now, I can't answer this question, but it can be fun to imagine. In particular, it can be fun to imagine using artificial intelligence. Let's explore the sometimes wacky, sometimes wonderful, and sometimes just plain wrong ideas of artificial intelligence. Join us as we ask, what if plants grew much quicker, here on the AI Hypothesizers channel. Alright, so we're here on ChatGPT. I think the plan is we're just going to start off by asking, how would the world be different if plants suddenly started growing much quicker? We've started off with this pretty simple prompt. We've asked, tell me how the world would change if plants suddenly started growing much quicker. I want to know how the modern world would change, as well as the human experience. And we've got just sort of 6 interesting sentences that we're going to look over and an introduction. So I think we're just going to go through line by line and see what we think. Alright, so we've got our introductory sentence from ChatGPT. It's a little long, we're going to split it into 2 and read over it. So the first half, in a world where nature's pace accelerates, watch as the heartbeat of the earth quickens. And I think what's good here is that ChatGPT has clearly understood that we're looking for an acceleration of the pace of nature, rather than nature having always been much quicker. We're trying to see how modern life changes. If we look in the second half, we have plants exploding into life with unprecedented speed. I think the phrase plants exploding will be something we can use to animate on, which would be very nice. However, I did think that changing the word unprecedented to overwhelming might be a little better for this sentence. We're looking to see how it would force change in modern society. So this is the sentence we're going to stick with from here. Alright, so this time I simply ask for a photorealistic image of New York, a view from above, including Central Park, which is completely overgrown. And I wanted this because it would be a recognisable sight. And I'm actually very happy with the potential images we've got. I really like the top right one, however this bridge going across is like nothing I've ever seen in New York. So I think I'm favouring either the bottom right or the top left. I think probably going to have to go for the bottom right, because in the top left there's this sort of weird cave thing that I don't think you'd find in the middle of New York. So I think we're going to go ahead and upscale the bottom right image. And so here we have it, the upscaled version. I actually think this image is pretty incredible, to be honest. I think I might actually use it as the thumbnail of the video as well. The next thing to do is to stick it into Runway and see if we can animate this a little bit. So let's do that now. Alright, so we got the video out of Runway. Overall I'm pretty happy with it. It seems to really capture the cinematic element of what we want as the introduction to this idea of what if plants suddenly started growing a lot quicker. It did come out a little blurry, the animation, compared to the reference image. It's my first time using Runway. I'm not sure if this happens all the time. We'll try work on it in the future of prompts and we'll see what we can do. But for now I'm happy. Let's move on to the next image and its animation. Alright, so we're moving on to our second statement. We have fields burst forth, yielding bountiful harvests, eradicating famine, and propelling societies into an era of abundance. I think that bountiful harvests is going to be something we can animate on very easily. Eradicating famine is an interesting point as well, something that will make people, thought-provoking idea that if plants grow quicker, we probably would indeed. At least be able to produce more food. Not sure about eradicating famine, but we'd see. But then I think the end and propelling societies into an era of abundance. Era of abundance sounds a little bit sinister in a way, and I think actually I want to play on this. So I'm actually going to change societies into humanity, and I'm going to say into an apparent era of abundance. I think it might give a bit more gravitas to the statement. So I think we're going to run with this and we're going to see what image we can come up with. Okay, so here's the next set of images we got out of Midjourney. Overall, I think most of them look pretty photogenic. They look quite nice. I'm not a big fan of the left ones because it looks less of sort of a bountiful field, and more of these dry patches don't quite convey the idea of nature speeding up. The ones on the right do. However, I think they look a bit too normal. I think in a world where nature speeds up, in the background we should at least have sort of forests rather than just sort of rolling hills. So the idea is it is meant to be a little out of control in the background, I think. So we're going to try and edit the prompt one more time. Okay, so we've got some more images out of Midjourney, and I absolutely love these. They sort of simultaneously show an abundance as well as quite a lot of sort of uncertainty about it all as well. They look a little bit disconcerting. That could potentially be aided by the slightly worse weather on the one on the bottom left. I think the one on the bottom right, the broken fence or the branches in the background also help because it shows it gets a little bit out of control. I think overall, because we have that slightly sinister edge to the statement, we're going to go for the bottom left with the weather that matches it. So let's try and animate this one, I think. Alright, so we upscaled the image and we ran it through Runway to get an animation out of it, and I decided to make it zoom out, so pull away as it was moving vertically down. The reason I did this is because I thought it would make the image look a bit more sinister, and I think that was the right decision. So yeah, I think it's time to move on to the third statement. Before we move on, I just wanted to stop and say thank you very much for tuning in. I've only just started this channel, and I'm always on the lookout for new ideas of animations that we could make. So I just wanted to say that if you're liking the video, please consider leaving a comment and letting us know what you think we should do next. Thank you very much, and let's get on with the video. Alright, so the next statement we have is, energized by this botanical revolution, a new era of bioenergy dawns, promising a renewable future that harnesses the power of rampant plant growth. Now, immediately, I'm already liking the idea we have energized to begin this. I'm already thinking that the images, the animations should just have that little tinge of yellow color to them, change it from the last two animations. I was a bit confused by the idea of this botanical revolution because I believe botanical I relate more to like bioscience, and we told ChatGPT that this is meant to be more of a spontaneous event, nature speeding up, not something that was brought on by science. So I changed this to a biological revolution just to try and undo that. I think was a misunderstanding by ChatGPT. Now, it says that we have this new era of bioenergy dawns, promising a renewable future. Admittedly, I don't know much about bioenergy at all. My initial understanding was if we were to burn biomass, for example, it's releasing carbon and therefore wouldn't be so renewable. However, did a bit of research, and the idea tends to be that rather than burning fossil fuels, which just releases carbon into the air, when creating biofuels and perhaps burning biomass, you're simultaneously growing and then eventually burning, so you're sort of offsetting as you go by the growth of more biomass. So I think that promising a renewable future here does seem to be reliable, but obviously look it up more yourselves. That was only 30 seconds of research on my part. And I like the idea that this can be harnessing the rampant plant growth. So I think we got some good freedom on how to animate this idea. All right, so these are the images we got out with that prompt. My initial thoughts are that the black smoke coming out of the top left one doesn't really suit the statement that we're going for. It's meant to be for sort of a more optimistic future, perhaps. Of course, I don't really know what a biofuel station looks like. I did have a quick Google search. But I think overall, probably the bottom left one is probably the right image for us because it really shows sort of large forests surrounding the biofuel centre. I think the bottom right one is too focused on the biofuel factory itself. So I think we're going to go for bottom left, upscale it, and stick an animation over it, and let's see what we get. Alright, so we got the animation out of Runway. Pretty happy with it overall. Managed to pan around the biofuel factory, which I wasn't aware we could do in Runway, and I think it looks quite good. So let's move on. Alright, so we're coming to the end of what ChatGPT gave us, and we got this statement on how cities would transform. And so it says cities transform into urban jungles, skyscrapers adorned with living walls and sprawling parks emerge in the concrete jungle. Now, I think this is pretty similar in concept to our the first animation that we made. So I actually think I want to change this one. I'm just going to change it entirely, pretty much. And I wrote my own. And so changed it up, and I had this idea in my head I wanted to get across. And so we have, indeed, nature's grasp will also tighten on modern civilization. With resources stretched, what history do we preserve? And I had this idea of it might be, if nature's sort of overgrowing everything, we have very limited resources to protect the thousands of cities we have and the countless bits of history we have across the earth. And so with this, I had a very specific idea about what history we might want to preserve, and that might be monuments. And so I actually went ahead and tried to come up with a prompt that involves the Statue of Liberty and people fighting back an emerging forest on the Statue of Liberty. And so we can see this concept here. I was actually really impressed. It really shows what Midjourney is able to do. It really came up with some interesting images regarding sort of a team of people trying to fight back a forest emerging on some historical monument, in this case a Statue of Liberty. Out of all of these, I think the top left portrayed my original intentions the most. Alright, so we upscaled it from Midjourney and then we plugged it into Runway to turn it into an animation. The only regret I have really is that the bottom left of the image had this sort of a stripe in it originally, and that didn't look great when we did the animation. It looked like a gap in the trees. But nevertheless, really kind of like the zooming out and spiraling effect. I think it looks really nice. So happy with this, and we're going to move on to the conclusion. After this, the only task was to throw together a quick conclusion and make a final animation. So I think we are done on the individual animations for now. I think it's time to put them together.
In a world where nature's pace accelerates, watch as the heartbeat of the earth quickens. Fields burst forth, yielding bountiful harvests, eradicating famine, and propelling humanity into an apparent era of abundance. Energized by this biological revolution, a new era of biodiversity dawns, promising a new future that harvests the power of rampant plant growth. Indeed, nature's grasp will also tighten on modern civilization. With resources stretched, what history will we preserve? Brace yourselves, for life would never be the same again in a world where nature takes back control.
Thank you for tuning in to the AI Hypothesizers channel. Please leave a like and consider subscribing.